I'm sure people will start rolling in, but we might just get started if that's okay with everybody. Nice to see you all here tonight. Just gonna let this last person in. Yeah, thanks for coming. My name's Hiroki. Hiroki Kobayashi. I'm a senior arts programmer here with Darebin Council. Before we start tonight, I'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the lands of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people and acknowledge their elders past and present and future leaders. And I'd also like to acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded and this was and always will be Aboriginal land. As I said, my name's Hiroki. I'm here with my colleague, Mark, who's also a senior arts programmer. Hey, Stephen, how you going? Thanks for joining us. And yeah, tonight we're excited to take you through the Speakeasy Presentations 2027 in this online session and talk you through the process of applying and guidelines and that kind of thing. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get started. Tonight's session is being recorded and will be available in a few days' time. If you don't want to be recorded or don't feel comfortable, we just ask that you turn off your camera so you won't be seen. If you do need captions, they are available just next to your camera icon on the top right-hand corner. There's more, which is the 3 little dots. Then you go down to language and speech, and then that little selection of show live captions if you need it. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, there is also closed captions available there as well. If you have any questions throughout the evening, you can either pop it in the chat and type it in. Otherwise, you're welcome to leave them till the end and you can ask us. We'll have a time for questions then as well. Just to give you a little bit of an overview of tonight and what we'll be going through. We'll go through the Speakeasy brief itself and what we're looking for, the different Darebin arts venues that you can present in and that are available as a part of this program, the package of support that we offer, including cash as well as in-kind support. And then we'll go through the application form itself and we'll go through each section, including the questions and the criteria which are attached to those questions and some tips on what makes a good or strong application. We'll also give you a bit of a sense of the process from here and some of the timelines that are part of the process as well. We'll also give you a sense of some of the other ways and opportunities you can engage with us. Maybe this presentation opportunity isn't quite right yet, but we have some other opportunities available as well. So we'll talk through those. And then at the end, we'll have a chance for you to ask any questions that you might have as well. But to start things off, we might throw to Mark for the Speakeasy brief.
Yes, hi everyone. Most of you would have found already the Speakeasy, the guidelines and the call out on our website, but I've just popped it in the chat as well. So the Speakeasy presentation program is our kind of like major program of the year. So it's a year-round program of presentations. We're usually presenting about 8 works a year for 1 or 2 week seasons. And that's across theatre, dance, circus, and live art, and anything that kind of sits around or between that. But performing arts is what this program is all about. We present across 2 venues, Northcote Town Hall Arts Centre. That would be the venue that most people would know. Most shows would happen there at Northcote Town Hall. And then we also have Darebin Arts Centre, which is up in Preston, which is a kind of bigger proscenium arch theatre. We'll talk a bit more about the spaces, but the program does happen across both spaces, but you might mostly know it as being at Northcote Town Hall. It's a new work program, so we're interested in premiering new work. We'll talk a bit more about what that means, but new work is the kind of guts of it, as opposed to other venues that might be buying things in or interested in just a straight remount. We're interested in investment in new work and artist-led work. And this program is for shows that are ready to go into production. So most things that are coming through have already had some kind of development. The script is ready to go, or more or less ready to go. You might have done some studio developments. If it's a dance work, you've got some documentation of some developments, and then this is about that point where we turn it into production. So you're ready to start to talk to our venue team about what you're going to need tech-wise, and you're ready to chat to us and the marketing team about how we're going to package this show for an audience. So yeah, this is about that turning point from development into production. So the goals of the program are about activating the venues. So doing stuff in the venue is important. Obviously, amazing work can happen outside and beyond those spaces, but this program is particularly for shows in our theatres. It's for artist-led activities, so we're interested in what you want to make as artists, and artistic kind of investigation is always at the core of what we're doing. The goals are around supporting the creative sector and Darebin really being a centre for creative industries. The program isn't just for Darebin residents. You can live beyond that, of course, but we do ask you to talk a bit about your connection to Darebin, but you don't have to be a Darebin resident. We have about 8 slots each year. and they're spread across the year from February through to November. They're not necessarily like specific dates, but we know we can support 8 projects across that time, and that's for 1 or 2 week seasons. Occasionally we could do 9 if there's more 1 week seasons, but you get the idea. There's roughly 8 slots in each year, and that's what we're doing this call out for. So to give you some perspective, last year we received 78 applications for the program. So 78 applications and 8 slots, so it's about a 10% success rate. That was a pretty high round. I think the year before was closer to 60, but if that gives you a kind of ballpark of how competitive the stream is. Yeah, that's the overview of the program. I'll hand back to Hiroki to talk a bit more about the venues that we're presenting in.
Thanks, Mark. I will share my screen now just to give you some images of the venues that are available. So hopefully that's showing up now. So yeah, there's 3 key venues that we program into. The first is Northcote Town Hall, which you can see here. Capacity is around 90. There is flexibility with configuration in this space. For example, recently we had Chewer Skin in there, which had traverse seating. As you can see from these pictures, it is a very large space, but you can also create quite intimate experiences. You can see there's these kind of curtains and drapes, which can kind of make it more intimate. In the same respect, being quite a large venue, we've had productions which have used this balcony area, which you can just see here. So it is very flexible and versatile in how you might want to use it. And it is definitely the most popular venue for Speakeasy. Most of our shows are presented here due to that flexibility and versatility of the space. The next one is Studio One, which we'll have here. Also, firstly, they're both based at Northcote Town Hall on High Street, Northcote, for those that aren't familiar. This is Studio One, which is a traditional black box performance space and great for those more intimate productions. There's a capacity of about 70 for here, which is a bit smaller. It can get bumped up a little bit more with the kind of altered configurations. I know there was a production, I think last year, which there was also seating to the side of the performance space as well to make that capacity slightly higher. These photos are slightly older. So since these photos were taken, the roof has since been painted black, and I believe the walls have been painted black as well, just as a quick note of that. The final venue is the Darebin Arts Centre. This is in Bell Street in Preston. The largest of the 3 venues. It's a fully equipped proscenium arch theatre with orchestra pit and counterweight fly system, and it fits up to 385, so much larger capacity. With Speakeasy seasons, they're usually shorter in length. So with the other 2, as Mark mentioned, it's usually about a 2-week season. But generally in the past, these have been shorter, maybe 1 week, 3 to 4 performances, just because of the bigger capacity. Not to say that you can't do 2 weeks there, but we just find that you probably need a bit more of a compelling reason to kind of reach new and significant audiences. It's not so much about the income in the box office that we're worried about, but more about the audience experience and the experience of the work itself. We don't want to see a production going in there and there to be, like 20% full, just so it might not be as nice. So something to consider. Production in the Darebin Arts Centre Theatre can be considered for February, March, April, May, and October usually, just in line with some of the other programming and venue availabilities they have there as well. So there are 3 main venues. If you want full tech specs and a bit more information, in the guidelines under the venue section, under each individual venue, there is a link to the full tech specs as well. So have a look through those as well. So a big thing to consider in terms of where you might see your production or project going as well. But then I might throw back to Mark now for what the production or the package of support looks like.
Yeah, so the support from Speakeasy is a pretty substantial package of cash and in-kind support. This isn't a grant program. This isn't just kind of handing you a bunch of resources and you do whatever you want. Like, these projects really are collaborations. So we're really upfront about the cash and in-kind support that we offer, but just know that this is a relationship that we're going to collaborate. We'll be able to tailor a package of support that suits what you're trying to do, and we are going to sort of work together on how the project's delivered. So we offer, the cash for a 2-week season, the cash is up to $20,000. So $20,000 as a sort of production fee. So you'll use that to pay yourself and your artists and as a production costs. So anything else that's going to come up for you around design, etc. So it's up to $20,000. You'll see it says sort of 16K to 20,000. 16K is really only if you're doing like a smaller capacity. If you were doing a slightly shorter, like not doing a full 10 weeks or 10 shows, sorry, or if you're in Studio One, then you might, with the less capacity, we would reduce the fee, but that's all kind of up for discussion. But we do try and give everyone the $20,000 if you're doing a full run. So that's for a 2-week season. And then it's an 80-20 split. So 80% to Darebin and 20% to the artist. We've sort of tried different models where we're giving you more of the box office, but the box office isn't as big as the cash that we're giving you. So we find it's better to just give you as much cash as we can up front, and then the risk sits with us. But there's still the potential to make some extra money with that 20% of box office. 2-week season is up to $20,000 plus GST. A 1-week season is sort of $10,000 to $12,000. So if you're doing a 1-week season, 5 performances, it'll be a $12,000 fee. And then you also get the 80-20 split for the box office, so 20% going to the artist. So that's the production fee, and we pay that upfront in 2 different sums, one when you sign the contract and one a little closer to the production once we've sort of had our first production meeting. But the cash is upfront. We then staffing, so we cover obviously the front of house, bar, box office, we cover all of that. There's also some technical support, so you'll get a technical supervisor who's sort of the relationship between your production and the venue. You'd need to cover your own operator. That's sort of the main technical staffing expense that you'd want to think about, is that you would need to choose someone and appoint someone to operate the show. But we give you a fair bit of support around that in terms of the kind of bump in and bump out period. There's plenty of Darebin staff support there, we find. So that's the staffing covered with us. Space and equipment. So we offer up to 4 weeks of rehearsal space. Most shows are rehearsed on site. We can actually offer more than 4 weeks if you're going to need something different, and you can actually structure that 4 weeks differently if you need to do 2 weeks in advance and 2 weeks closer to the date. That's all negotiable. But 4 weeks is the kind of ballpark. But if you're going to need more, then just let us know. It's usually fine. So 4 weeks of rehearsal space in one of our spaces, and then up to 2 it's 3 weeks in the venue usually for presentation time. So it's a 2-week season, but then you'll need an extra week for the bump ins. So you then get obviously in-kind space in the theatre itself. And the equipment there's obviously, you'll find the tech specs online that shows all of the kind of lighting, sound, AV equipment that come with the theatre. So that's all given to you in kind as well. We really don't charge you for anything. It's only if the staffing costs need to blow out for any kind of major reason, but usually Darebin is covering all of that. What else? We give some access support. So we have an access budget for each show. So if you want to do an Auslan interpreted performance, for example, then we would cover Auslan fee, the interpreter's fees. That's usually what that covers. But if there's other access services you want to provide, then please have a chat with us. We're always up for it. And we do social scripts. We occasionally do a relaxed performance if that suits your work. But it's really about the nature of what suits you. And then marketing and publicity. So there's a pretty consistent package of marketing and publicity support. So we'll pay for a publicist. We have worked with Zilla and Brooke over the past few years, which has been awesome. So they contact the reviewers and do the media kind of campaign in the lead up, and a marketing package. So we'll do some graphic design, posters, flyers. We do a social media spend, and sometimes there's a kind of radio campaign, usually rock posters. You might see the real estate billboards around Darebin that will cover that. So there's a question in the chat about staff costs, not including technical staff outside the technical manager. There's a few kind of casual bump-in crews. So usually the bump-in does take a while, and you need the scissor lifts to access the rig, particularly in the main hall. So we will help you with staffing that. But in terms of like a stage manager, a production manager from your end, that all sits with you. So but for us, it's the technical supervisor during the run of the show, and they're not operating, they're just giving support to your team. I hope that makes sense. We can chat more about that in the end if you like. Marketing, publicity. We also cover some photography, so we'll pay a photographer for the hero image shoot to get you a nice, good image for the poster. and then also production photos as well. So we'll pay for a photographer to come and shoot your dress run, ready for media and getting the word out a little more. We'll also help you with a kind of designing your marketing campaigns. So we do some kind of strategic sessions. So even if you're not a marketing whiz, then don't worry, we'll help you out with that. We'll help you draft copy and that kind of piece. So yeah, the marketing and publicity support is pretty comprehensive. So that's the package of support that we offer. Again, we'll kind of tailor that to what suits your show. So if you've got something out of the box, don't worry, we'll absolutely be interested in having a chat about it. And if you're not sure if it's going to fit the criteria of the program, then you're very welcome to kind of shoot me an email or sing out at the end of this conversation as well. We'll have time for questions at the end. We're now going to jump into the application form, and I'll just chat through each of the sections and I guess what makes a strong application along the way. There's a question in the chat, which I might just grab now as well, about the town hall's main hall. Is the seating bank fixed, and is there flexibility to rethink seating in a round design or part thereof? Yeah, great question. The seating bank usually faces towards the kind of gold curtain, if you know that the space well. So that's our sort of standard configuration. But there is absolutely flexibility. We had a show recently that was in traverse. We've done shows in the round before. It's all possible. So yeah, that's not a fixed seating bank. It can be removed completely if that's the nature of the event. But we just use that as a kind of gauge of how many seats we want to get into the room. But yeah, we can absolutely talk about different configurations. Yeah, all possible, all possible. Hiroki's got the guidelines, the website up there. So yeah, you go to the Darebin Arts website and you'll find this. If we click through to the Apply Now page, so this is just Smarty Grants. You've probably used this system before. If not, you'll just need to set up a login. Yeah, pretty straightforward. And now we'll jump in and have a look at the form. Contact details go at the top. That's just the main contact for the project. It doesn't need to be the lead artist, just whoever we should chat to about the application. On the next page, project title, lead artist, doesn't need to be every artist. This is just for us to have a kind of ease of reference of whose show is this, which application is this again. Company or collective name, if that's relevant. Short description, keep it simple, plain language. It's a dance work about climate change. It is a new play set in a beauty store or whatever. So keep it simple. It's just a kind of ease of reference for us. Key creatives, yeah, list everyone that you know at this point. You're welcome to add in the roles that you haven't filled yet. So if you're sort of stage manager TBC, fourth actor TBC, like that's all fine as well. It's nice for us to see the structure of the team that you're planning, even if you don't have all the names yet. Yeah, and if you want to write confirmed or not confirmed next to some people, that's fine too. But we understand you're still in the kind of planning phase, and that, you know, some of the roles might change. But it's great for us to know who the key creatives are, because that will really make a strong application if it looks well planned in that regard. Artist and company website, if you have one. Your Instagram is fine if that's the most relevant, but website's obviously always great. And a page of bios, or yeah, you can actually put as many pages as you like. But yeah, if you want to attach artist and company bios there, that'd be great. Project art form, yep, just tick that to give us a guide of how you categorize it. You can tick multiple things, or you can invent your own category at the end under other. Season length, yep, you've got two options there, or in other if you've got something else in mind, always open to it. Can your project be presented with us in 2027 if you don't secure other support? So we're conscious that we're often the first investor in the production phase of a project. So you might apply to us and then go to Creative Australia, Creative Victoria, or philanthropic or kind of other support sources. So that's all fine. It's just useful for us to know in our planning. It usually isn't a make or break in terms of whether we'd support the show. It's more about us going first half of the year, second half of the year, that kind of thing as we start to build our season. Is this the Melbourne premiere of the work? It doesn't have to be the Melbourne premiere of the work. We often have shows that have had a kind of prototype season elsewhere. I'll give the example of, say, Bloomshed presented Paradise Lost with us a few years ago, and that had actually had a week season at Butterfly Club as a very kind of lower-fi version, obviously a much smaller scale work if you're presenting at Butterfly Club. And then they were able to argue that, yeah, this is going to be a valuable investment, and we're still finishing the work. So yes, we've tested it in front of a ticket-paying audience, but this council's investment will help us fully realize the design, and they could pitch the full work they were going to present in the town hall for a 2-week season. So We don't necessarily do a straight remount from the same city, but we are open to things that have kind of been prototyped or tested elsewhere that can actually be really valuable for an application. So yeah, let us know if it's the Melbourne premiere or not. Tick your preferred space. You're welcome to tick multiple spaces if you're not sure. We will absolutely help you end up in the right theatre. So yeah, tick whatever ones you feel might be suitable. And then which months of the year you'd be interested in presenting in. Tick everything that you can do. It's good for us to have the full scope of what's possible. But again, you're just ticking months. It's just to give us a ballpark to know when might be suitable. That does just, help us start to plan the program a little bit. Doesn't lock you into anything. We'll come back with an offer of dates if your application's successful, and we can kind of keep negotiating from there. We'll jump over to the next page now and start to go through the criteria. So there's kind of three key criteria here. The first one is about the creative cultural merit. This is where we want to know about the idea. We want to know about the art. We want to feel that it's compelling, original, timely, and imaginative. Articulate it clearly and you've thought it through. You're aware of the artistic and cultural context, what other works around are like this, what might I be doing that's similar or different to what other people are doing, and how might this be a kind of original piece. And yeah, it's kind of community relevance, like why this project, why now, those kinds of questions. So yeah, your project idea, that's for us to give you the overview of the project, for you to give us, the overview of the project. Use clear and concise language. Don't overcomplicate it. Know that the panel that you're speaking to is a cross art form panel. So on the panel, there will be theatre folk, dance folk, live art folk, a real mix of people. So if you're using something that is very arts form specific, think about how that might translate. You're definitely talking to artists. You're talking to people who know about live performance and are experts in this field. But just, know that there'll be a dance rep there who'll be wondering, okay, what's happening dance-wise, body-wise, there's a different lens that's happening, and the theatre artist the same. So yeah, just think about how you pitch your project to be a kind of cross art form context. So that's the project idea. The development history, we'd love to know what development you've done so far, where it's been supported, what you've learnt about the project, how you've tested it, and then what work remains to be done. If you've still got a development coming up before you go into presentation, that's totally fine. We just love to hear about it. So we've got a real sense of the trajectory and how you've planned it and shaped it. So that's the development history, and then supporting documentation. So yeah, any creative support material you can offer us is awesome to give us a sense of the feel of the project and also to show how you've tested it. So if you've got some footage from a showing, that's fantastic. If there's a script or a sort of story, a structure board or something like that, whatever's relevant to your project, but that just gives us a good sense of the material and how far along in terms of the development you are. So attach that either attach it as a file, or you can drop a link in there. There's room in that text box to put some notes if you want to say this is from an early development, ignore the lighting, but the structure is right, or the material is what I'm showing you. So any notes or any support material you could drop in that document as well, in that text box. Jump over to the next page and we'll show you criteria 2. So this is about viability. So here we're talking about the practicalities to see, can we actually support this project? This section will particularly show to our venue and production team who are interested to know, have you read the tech specs? Is the equipment that you're expecting us to have actually what we have? That kind of thing. So this is about whether we can actually technically realize it, but also us starting to think about kind of marketing and how we'll frame the work. Are we practically able to deliver on that front as well? So the first section, production details, any major elements about the production you might still be in early conversations with your designer and not know much at this point, but you might have a few things in mind. I definitely need projection. It needs to be in the round. I would love to have a car on stage. I'm thinking about some elevated platforms. I'm wanting a series of drapes that it moves through. Like those kinds of even early ideas are useful to us. We'll be sending this to our production team for them to look over, and they'll be able to give us some guidance on if and how we might be able to achieve it. But this is your opportunity to kind of show us give us a clear practical description of how the production is going to look on the stage and what elements are going to be involved. So there's a kind of overview box there. And then as we scroll down, you'll see some kind of shorter boxes for lighting, sound, set and rigging, AV and projection. A lot of people do know a lot about this. I definitely need this kind of elaborate rigging system. I know there's going to be 3 projectors and we're going to need a script, a psych, those kinds of things. So just, yeah, great if you can just detail them there, what you know. But again, if you don't know, you don't need to make it up just to fill the space. Yeah, just tell us what's essential and what's still being explored. Audience and marketing. So now we start to think about some target audiences. Who is this show for? Who do you want to reach? What ideas have you got for reaching these audiences and getting them along? What are the major talking points you want them to engage with? So yeah, start to imagine your audience and who that might be. Anything you know that's worked in the past for your work. Any particular messages that you think will be kind of cool points of interest for an audience. This is just start to get the panel's imaginations firing about who this works for and how you want to reach them. Again, we'll work with you on a marketing strategy. It's just great to know where your head's at, what you're thinking and how you're thinking about audience. And then additional support. So again, along the practical viability side, are there any other partners you're going to work with on this? Is anyone else involved? Have you got a festival that's connected with, or a tour lined up, or someone else who's going to kind of support with the funding, or yeah, anything you know at this point, you can detail there. You'll notice that we don't actually ask for a budget in this application. We are conscious that we're going to be the first investors a lot of the time, and that us getting behind it might help you go for other funding. So we don't ask for a budget. You can give us, hey, like I'm still going to need to find X thousand dollars to deliver this show. You're welcome to detail that there if that feels important to explain. Or yeah, if there's a key partner, anything else you want to talk about, the practicalities of partnerships, they're going to help deliver this. Yeah. Then we move on to the third criteria.
Thanks, Mark. So yeah, the third criteria is about the impact of the project, which is, I guess, is really about the benefits that will come about from this project being delivered. Just as a bit of a background and context, our program priorities in terms of our decision making around curation of this kind of program is guided by Darebin's 2041 community vision, which positions Darebin as a place that nurtures an equitable, vibrant and connected community, respects and supports First Nations people, valuing country, commits to mitigating the climate emergency. So as a part of this, we just have a bit of a tick box question about how you think your project aligns with this overall kind of vision and strategy of Darebin. So there's 5 options. There's actually going to be 6. So one of them will actually be this goal of making Darebin a centre of creative industry and the arts, which is not there right now, but we will add it there, so that can be an option for you. Then there's deepens Darebin's commitment to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, helps to build an inclusive and empowered community, celebrates our diversity, increases access to our council services and assets by groups who are underrepresented, ensure Darebin is a leader in responding to the climate emergency, supporting community to engage and drive this dialogue. So we just ask that you select at least one of those that you think aligns with your project, and then you can do multiple ones as well. Building on that, we have just one question around impact, which we ask you to kind of unpack and just speak a little bit to your project's potential and what you'll help deliver in engaging in this program. So some key things to consider are, does it offer audiences something original, unexpected, entertaining? It makes an original contribution to a cultural conversation, pushes the artist's practice forward, or engages meaningfully with underrepresented parts of the community. So there's a bit of a question section here, which you can kind of just write some points around how it meets one or more of these kind of dot points or criteria. At the very least, we think that, I think most of the projects that we're talking about or that you'll deliver at the very least kind of push your practice forward. So for example, maybe you're experimenting with a new form, maybe you're practicing a new technique or a new kind of methodology, maybe you're collaborating with a different art form or a new artist for the first time. It's just about outlining, some of those things, like what is the benefit of this project going to be? It could be, about the wider community and what you're giving, or it could be something about your practice, and both are equally as valid. And this is just an opportunity to speak about it. It doesn't need to be a complex essay. It can really just be dot points, keep it simple, as Mark has mentioned, with all our answers and stuff like that. So that's what that section is. There's also another section around access and inclusion, which just asks, what strategies are you putting in place to ensure the process and the production is accessible and inclusive? As Mark mentioned, we do supply some budget usually for one kind of Auslan interpreted performance, but obviously this section is an opportunity to speak more widely about your process and your production and how you might have strategies or methods in place to ensure it is accessible and inclusive as possible. This section is also an opportunity to say your project is dealing with sensitive content or heavy themes. This is also a chance to speak to how you're going to ensure that you're going to be providing a safe environment for yourself, the audience, the artists, and everybody involved. Darebin's very much supportive of works which contain a variety of content. This is just more ensuring that it's done in a safe way for everybody. So you can speak to this if your project does have some of those sensitive content or heavy themes as well. This is an opportunity to speak to that, just to make sure we feel comfortable that you will be able to undertake it safely. The next page, which I think is pretty much the final page of this application, is access requirements and demographic data. Important to flag that none of the information that you answer on this page is accessible. It's basically just for our demographic survey purposes only. So the questions are pretty simple, like how many artists will be working on this production with you, who, if anyone in your team, lives, studies, or works in Darebin. Does anyone in your team have any access requirements that we should be aware of so we can assist you? There's also a final question around if any of your artists involved in the project belong to any of those groups listed below. So we just ask that you answer those questions. As I mentioned, they're not accessible though. And then, yeah, final question, there's just something about where you found out about Speakeasy. And that's really the whole application form. As Mark mentioned, if you have any questions about what we've gone through, feel free to ask us now or in the chat or at the questions at the end as well. Now I might just go through the process from here. So basically, as you're probably all aware, the applications close on Sunday, the 14th of June at midnight. Please contact us if you have any questions or issues using Smarty Grants or anything around that. Our emails are on the webpage or in the guidelines, so do get in touch with us and we're happy to have a chat and walk you through anything. Once all the applications are received, they're reviewed by an external panel of artists, including me and Mark, as well as 3 panelists, as Mark mentioned, across different art forms from theatre, dance, live art. So we get a spectrum of perspectives on all these applications. They then shortlist artists who will then progress to a bit of an interview stage with Darebin staff. And this is an opportunity to for us to kind of find out a little bit more the granular details around your project and really make sure it truly is ready to be going to that production stage. So technical requirements, do you have any ideas and visions around marketing and any other additional information we require around your application. It's also an opportunity to ask us questions at that stage and get a little bit more of an understanding of how the process works to kind of figure out any of those details as well. From there, interview stage, a final, I guess, list of artists will be selected and we'll make them an initial offer. And this will be including your package of support, the amount of money. We kind of look at timelines and milestones and technical and marketing information as well as looking at season dates and that kind of thing. We will advise all applicants by the 17th of August, whether you're successful at that shortlisting stage or not. So yeah, expect something by 17th of August, if not before as well. If you are unsuccessful, whilst we don't provide necessarily heaps of feedback, we are open to providing feedback to help you kind of improve your applications for both things like this as well as grants and stuff as well. So we know how much work this is, and we do want to be able to provide some insight and support around improving your understanding of what you might be able to do next time or what maybe was missing. So please do ask us as well. I might also chat now then to the other ways to engage with us. Maybe listen to us tonight and you thought, actually, my project isn't ready for presentation stage yet, but there is other ways in which you can be involved with us. And that includes things like our development program and our company in residence program. These open probably slightly later in the year. We're looking at about 21st of September. We will release more information around this closer to the date, but basically there is opportunities to have some in-kind venue hire and some modest stipends to help you kind of develop this work, which then maybe you want to present it the following year after that. There's also a company in residence program for established theatre companies as well. So please look out for that. We'll be releasing more information in the coming time. broader kind of community of practice activities which we offer. There is Scratch Nights, which are roughly happening once a month at the moment, and it's just a platform for artists to test out new works in development to a really great audience. I've been to a couple now, and it's such a fun atmosphere and a really generous audience. The next one is on Tuesday, the 9th of June. The EOIs for that one have closed, but there will be more towards the end of the year, so please do keep an eye out for that. We have a co-working space, which I'm not sure if many of you are aware of or not, but at Northcote Town Hall Arts Centre, we have about 4 desks available between 9 and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday for artists and independent companies. This is free of charge. Desks are bookable by the Darebin Arts website, and there's free Wi-Fi, free printing, and we hope it's an opportunity just for you to kind of have a space to work from, maybe meet other artists as well. So we highly recommend you take that offer up if you're interested. And finally, probably most importantly, we highly recommend you come and see the shows that we do here at Darebin, just to get a sense of what types of project we support and the kind of work that we like to see programmed in these venues. So Slop is now on until 23rd of May, which is a bit of a dance, sound, live artwork. Highly recommend you come see it. It's until the 23rd of May. You can check details for that on our website as well. And as I mentioned, we have a Scratch Night coming up on the 9th of June as well. If you're interested potentially in applying for one of those in the future, highly recommend you come along and see what it's all about. I think that's it from us formally, and I think now it's just basically question times. If anybody has any questions, you can either type in the chat or feel free to just turn your mic on and ask us.
Any questions from the floor? Sounds like we've done a pretty good job. We've got questions that usually come up are about premieres. If people do a season elsewhere, that's totally fine, but this is a pretty substantial investment in new work, so we want to see, the panel usually wants to see, how is the cash and in-kind support from Darebin really going to be impactful for you as an artist? Why do you need to do it again? More than just, of course, we all want work to have a longer life, and that should be happening, but this council program is really about supporting new work. So that's something usually people want to unpick. Non-scripted works, totally fine, of course. There's plenty of devised work, live art kinds of things, but I guess think about what support material you provide to kind of communicate it. Show us what you've made so far, what it could be. Question from in the chat. Is it okay to, if successful, is it okay to further strengthen accessibility and inclusive practices to seek guidance and expertise from the programming staff at Darebin Speakeasy? Absolutely. Yeah. We're very, we've got, lots of experience using, trying different sort of support mechanisms, and absolutely, keen to find the best ways to make the work accessible. So we're always keen to kind of advise on that. And if you're like, I'm working with something sensitive in this project, like at least in the application, show an awareness of that. Yes, I know I'm going to go into something tricky, and we can have a chat even in the stage 2 interviews about like what you're thinking there, and any advice we can give. There's plenty of sensitive content that's been presented through Speakeasy. It's a pretty adventurous program, and council doesn't censor content at all. It's really about us kind of wanting to make sure that you have a safe and enriching experience, and that it's a great experience for your artists and for your audiences. So definitely so happy to guide on that, and give you the best advice we can. But if you want to chat about anything in the lead up, if you feel like something's going to sort of sit strangely in the application and you might want to talk about it in advance, then please feel free to drop us an email, and we can line up a chat if that's useful. Another question in the chat about thank you, Jen. We've clearly described the process. Can you describe in more detail the shortlist process in the following interviews? So usually at that point, we've picked a pretty short list, like there might be 8 slots and we've picked sort of 9 shows. It's usually pretty close. And that conversation is really about the how. So do make sure that your written application does cover everything. Don't sort of wait for the interview to kind of like land the plane. I think the written application does need to convince the panel. So then once the broader panel with the kind of guest artists on it has made the shortlist, that's when we put it to the venue team. So we'll put it to our production manager and our venue manager to sort of talk about some of the ins and outs. So it says they're going to need 3 projectors and a full blackout, and we have to fly someone from the roof and set something on fire. Can we do all of this? And they'll usually come back with their kind of deeper questions. They'll be asking, what do they mean by set a car on fire, that kind of piece. So they'll be wanting to get into more the nitty gritty. And then we take those questions back to the people on the shortlist. And so it's really us kind of talking about the how. You don't sort of need to pitch the work again at that stage or do any kind of bigger presentation. We're usually going, yeah, we've read your application and we wondered about this, we wondered about this, we wondered about this. So that's what that stage 2 is. It's really the kind of getting into the practicalities of how we would deliver it. And that goes both ways. So you can then be asking questions of us of like, yeah, I want to do this thing, but I'm not sure if I can do it technically, or it might change, or should I hire some equipment or use what you've got? Like, yeah, we can absolutely get into that in that meeting. And we'll have a representative from the venue as well who'll be able to talk in more detail to what the gear can do and can't do, and any kind of practical things that we need to consider when we then go and budget the staffing or plan the venue booking, that kind of thing. The interview is very much about the how. It's usually an online interview that goes for about half an hour, 45 minutes usually, and we'll send you all the questions in advance, so you and your team have got time to think them through before we then meet up for a chat. It's generally pretty non-threatening, and it's more about the how. Great, cool. Any other questions coming through?
I had a quick one, and apologies because I know you put the sort of months of performance up, but just do any of the performance times coincide with any kind of Melbourne set festivals? And if so, is Darebin involved in those festivals, such as Comedy Festival, Fringe Festival, those sorts of things?
So we can do some Midsummer. That will be the first one in February. Can align with that. We find a lot of the festivals tend to be kind of Melbourne CBD kind of centric, but I know Midsummer does kind of go more broadly. So that's a festival alignment we can do. Comedy Festival, we have sometimes just we haven't programmed much in that historically, but we could, if that feels like a really good alignment for you and you feel like being part of the program, Comedy Festival program would be a great fit, then absolutely up for that. We don't tend to program in that time otherwise, and it's sometimes using the space like a space for hire, or we're trying different things about Comedy Festival. But if that's something you're interested in with a Speakeasy show, absolutely, let's talk about it. Feel free to kind of mention that in the app. If you're in the viability section, you might put it in potential partners, that kind of thing, if that feels good. And then Melbourne Fringe, absolutely. We tend to have a production in Fringe every year. You could be selected with us, and then and we would help with the Fringe registration. We're pretty seasoned with partnering with Fringe, so that works. Rising doesn't tend to stretch outside too far beyond the City of Melbourne. I know they do Substation, but they don't historically do City of Darebin. So if they wanted to, we would totally be up for it. But they haven't had a Rising partnership in the past. I'm trying to think of other festivals. Darebin has a Fuse Festival, which is a kind of broader community arts festival. So if you're programmed in September, then you might be part of Fuse as well. They're your kind of main ones. Now or Never wouldn't reach beyond the City of Melbourne as well. So Comedy Festival, Midsummer, and Melbourne Fringe are the ones we usually think about. But if anything else comes up, absolutely keen for it.
That's great. Thanks very much, Mark.
No worries. Boy, also City of Melbourne. Great question, Carmen. But that's all funded by the City of Melbourne. So they haven't stretched too far. They haven't come to Darebin previously. But if you've got a conversation with going with Boy already and they're interested in coming to Darebin, then absolutely we would do that. But we find that they're a City of Melbourne focused festival.
Thanks, Mark.
Can you apply for more than one project?
Great question. I would say yes. Why not? If you have any problems doing that in the portal, then you're welcome to. It'll be a fair bit of work and you'll be competing against yourself. We probably wouldn't select both of your projects.
No, obviously not, but just... No, I wouldn't expect both, but I just if you're not exactly, I don't know, just to throw both in the ring. See what's...
I don't see why not. So yeah, if you have any problems doing that in the portal, just let us know and we'll find some other way for you to do that. But I reckon that should be totally fine.
Thanks.
Philip asked about Now or Never in the chat. Yeah, that's the City of Melbourne festival as well. So they don't tend to go far beyond the bounds of the actual City of Melbourne. We would totally be down for that. But they're so interested in CBD activation and not poor old Darebin, but that is okay. But yeah, if they were keen, we'd be keen. You might be having separate chats with these festivals as well. If you're talking to Rising about a project or you're talking to Melbourne Fringe about a project, that's, yeah, totally fine. And yeah, we play well with others. So yeah, all good.
I'm wondering if it would be possible to give a few more examples of shows that have been successful in arguing for like a revamp or remount.
Oh yeah, great. So what would I be thinking about? Yeah, the other one is another Bloomshed one. Yeah, one that was presented at Geelong, and then they actually substantially redeveloped it. So it might mean that you're investing more in the design. If you, yeah, it might be, yeah, just making a kind of larger production. That's usually it. Or if you're like, actually, I want to rework the script or I want to add this new element. So I would be, yeah, just thinking about how you want to frame. You might talk about it. This is a prototype season where I got to test it in front of the audience. What I learned is this, and now I want to do this. So now that I've tested out the bones of it work, and we've got this, even if you've got some documentation of that, great. If it got reviewed, awesome. If it didn't, doesn't matter, like totally fine. But I guess talk about what you learnt there and then what might, yeah, what you want to take into this next one. You're going to be up against a lot of new work, and that's what the panel's kind of going to be considering it as. So if it looks like a straight remount, we tend to find they're not as interested. But yeah, if you can show, yeah, this is going to be the full realization of that project, then that would, yeah, tends to go well. Does that kind of cover it? I wish I had more examples because there aren't heaps, but it definitely has happened.
No, that's great. Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions coming through?
Yeah, Mark, I had one. Stephen here.
Right.
Just wondering, I've got a couple of works I could put forward. One has only had 1 week of development to date, but there are several developments slated over the next 6 months.
Yep.
And another one of the projects has had a substantially longer development, but I feel like that one fits your selection criteria less so in terms of the values of Darebin.
Yep.
Is having, if I've got a demonstrated path for the work to be more substantially developed in the near future, is that a strong enough case to put forward?
I think so. Yeah. I think trust your gut on that. Occasionally we've had works that sort of really haven't been tested at this point of application, and so the project feels a bit soupy or feels like it's still to be you know, resolved. So, but if you've already got, you're like, I've got a really strong handle on this, I'm going to test it over these points later this year, for example, then yeah, I think you could make that case pretty strongly. We'll want to start talking about marketing and production. So if that feels like it's a way off, then that's going to be hard. But if you know what it is and yeah, these are the steps to get me there, then I think that's totally fine. We'll obviously be assessing it on what support material you've been able to give us at this point. So yeah, make sure you got something. But yeah, that all sounds fine to me. If you've got a path forward, like great.
Awesome.
And you might want to, you know, you could think about second half of the year if that's going to be more appropriate, just to give it that time to sort of resolve and then start making marketing material. So yeah, you could think about that as well.
Thanks, Mark.
Worries.
I just had another question.
Right.
I was wondering if you had kind of specific ideas. I noticed with Slop, for example, there's like 2 post-show Q&As. So if you had like specific ideas about wanting to have some sort of like Q&A or like engagement thing, is it worth kind of like going into detail about that in the application, and kind of what section would you put that in?
Yeah, I'd pop that in section under criteria 2 around viability when you think about marketing and audience engagement, because we find those panels are a really great add-on that definitely sells tickets. So we do our post-show talks actually across every production. We'll have one often at the start of the second week if it's a 2-week run, and we always find it sells tickets and audiences love it. It's sold out tomorrow night. So yeah, that's definitely something that we would support you to deliver. We've also had people do a kind of community night. We had one for the block last year that was part of Fringe. We'll have one for Cut Chili that's happening in our season later on. So community nights are another piece that we do. But yeah, if there's something specific as a kind of, we're totally open to that. So yeah, pop that in under viability next to marketing and audience engagement. Yeah, that'll be the best spot for that. Any other questions? These have been really great questions. Oh, yeah. Hi.
Just wondering, when you've got your rehearsal period, say if you're doing 4 weeks of rehearsals leading up to the project, what kind of access would you have to the building and the space?
Yeah, great question. So most rehearsals will happen up on level 1 if you know the building at all. So there's a series of carpeted meeting rooms there. So that's where at least most of our theatre productions rehearse. In that area of the building, we're able to give you pretty wide access. So it's from about 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. Monday to Friday, and on weekends as well. So unless you're doing something extremely high risk, but generally we're able to give people unsupervised access. So the building is staffed from 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, but we give you a swipe and then you can use your rehearsal room beyond that. So yeah, absolutely. For those rehearsal rooms, we've got expanded access. If you're rehearsing in the studio, so often dance works are going to want sort of a solid floor, and that puts you in Studio 1, or up in the studio at Darebin Arts Centre, there's a rehearsal room there, and that we have more limited access. So those we can just do 9 to 5. So yeah, that would be a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday situation. But if there's something particular you need, then yeah, we can absolutely chat about it. But yeah, that's
wondering about actually on the stage, like when you're
on stage. Yeah, also a great question. Yeah,
just because it's like I'm more interested in the Darebin Arts Centre and the size wise, so just curious about. Yeah, we just did a short development in Albury Wodonga, and we had the theatre there for 2 weeks with access, and that was something just amazing to be able to be set up on the stage for 2 weeks in complete development mode with cardboard props and things. But yeah, just wondering what kind of access like that you'd have. Obviously the rehearsal room is different to having the theatre with the lights and actually playing and experimenting with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's Darebin Arts Centre very much up for discussion. We can't give it to you unstaffed, so there's always going to be a staff cost that we are navigating when it comes to giving you the theatre. So usually shows have had sort of week in the space, like you might be bumping in from the Monday and then you're previewing on the Thursday. So not heaps of access. That space is often a space for hire as well, so we're competing with those other interests. But yeah, so we don't, but we can negotiate. You want some evening access, absolutely, but it's not with Darebin Arts Centre. You wouldn't get multiple weeks there. You'd probably get the 1 week leading up to the previewing on the Thursday. But we can have a chat about it if you really think you'll need more time. But yeah.
Amazing. I was nodding along the whole time and realized you couldn't see me, but acknowledging what you were saying. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Question in the chat connected to space and foyer. We're developing webpage ideas for audience questions, participation, continuing the question. How feasible is it to connect foyer in this way so that vox pops, recording audience reactions, allowing feedback, and also providing space that acts as a gallery showing development process? Yeah, we are absolutely up for that. There's some decent Wi-Fi in the building now, so hopefully that helps. But yeah, we love multiple ways of engaging and capturing audience response. It's something we haven't done enough of to date. So yeah, very, very much interested in things that can kind of expand the audience experience. You can note some of those things under viability if that's useful, or if they're really like conceptually foundational, you could put them under the artistic and creative merit, that first criteria. But yeah, I would put that in that box about audience and marketing, because that feels like a great add-on that would really enrich it. So yeah, totally up for that in terms of your marketing strategy or just how people engage with the work. Does that cover that, Jen? done that justice. Beautiful. Can you store props in rehearsal period? Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so we'll give you full exclusive use of your space during your rehearsal blocks. So yeah, you can absolutely store things on site. Yeah, yep, no worries at all.
One other question, is there any kind of workshop or anything for fixing, building, creating that we could potentially have access to?
I wish we had a workshop to build things in. Yeah, unfortunately not. No. There's obviously a tech store that's got a fair bit of tools when you're doing your bump in, but in terms of building your set, yeah, that's stuff that happens offsite that you would be managing.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions? That's everything. Please, yeah, keep reaching out over email and fire off your questions. We're always up for a conversation if you've got something curly for us or that hasn't been covered. But yeah, the process has been pretty run in. We've been running this program for 14 years and it's only got kind of stronger and clearer over that time. So hopefully our application process is pretty intuitive. But if you feel like you're trying to wedge your square peg into a round hole at any point, if it's not working for you, then yeah, please just drop us a line. We're pretty responsive to Hiroki or I will be able to field your question and can jump on the phone if you need to as well. But thanks everyone for joining us for this chat.
There's just one last question around emails. I'm happy to drop that in the chat now, Jamie. I can drop our emails, but they're on the website as well, which is both myself and Mark's are on there, but I can drop it in the chat here as well.
Beautiful. All right, we'll drop that in the chat now. Hey, thank you all so much for joining us. We'll pop this online if you want to rewatch it and relive the experience. But we look forward to receiving your applications. It's an exciting time for us as programmers to get to see what 2027 might hold. So thank you already for that work, your generosity, sharing your ideas. We absolutely take them deeply and seriously. Yeah, we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks a lot.